Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really profound paradigm shift, how letting go of active thinking is actually the true key to peace, intuition, and getting into a flow state. Look, if you've ever felt just completely exhausted by your own mind or like you're constantly overcomplicating things, which, let's be honest, is something literally all of us do, then today is absolutely for you. We're going to be exploring some transformative concepts from Joseph Nguyen's work, and it really exposes how we are the ones building our own mental barriers.
Okay, so let's jump right into this by challenging a belief we pretty much all hold. We usually blame our jobs, our relationships, maybe our bank accounts for our daily stress, right? We just naturally assume that our external circumstances are dictating our internal state. But what if the call is actually coming from inside the house? What if your own mind, and specifically the way you're using it, is literally the only thing making you suffer?
There's this brilliant concept from the Buddha, the two arrows, and it hits the nail completely on the head. The first arrow is unavoidable physical or situational pain. Hard things are going to happen in life, that's just a guarantee. But the second arrow, our psychological suffering, our intense mental reaction to that first pain, well, that is entirely optional.
All right, Section 1, the root of suffering, where it all begins. Let's explore exactly where that second arrow comes from. Picture this. A young monk is meditating in a boat in the middle of a lake, just soaking in the perfect silence. Suddenly, wham! His boat gets struck hard by another boat. His anger instantly flares up. His face turns red. He's absolutely furious at whoever dared to interrupt his sacred meditation. But when he opens his eyes and stands up to yell, he sees the boat that hit him is completely empty. It had just drifted over on the wind. And instantly, his intense anger just vanishes. It completely disappears. This reveals such a profound truth. External situations do not cause our anger. Our own internal reaction does.
So, what does this actually mean for us? It means we are living in a world of thought, not reality. We only ever feel what we're actively thinking about an event in any given moment. You know, two people can work the exact same job. One finds it to be an absolute living hell, while the other finds it incredibly fulfilling. The external event is literally identical, but the internal feeling is entirely dictated by what they are thinking. We only ever feel our thinking. We don't feel our actual environment.
Section 2, thoughts versus thinking. A crucial difference. Recognizing this next point is a total game changer.
You have to separate a thought from the act of thinking. They are incredibly different. A thought is just a noun. It's natural, divine, mental raw material that just effortlessly pops up in your mind without you even trying. Thinking, on the other hand, well, that's a verb. It's the manual, exhausting act of judging, criticizing, and endlessly analyzing that initial thought.
Let's try a quick little thought experiment right now. Think of your absolute dream yearly income. Just let that number pop in your head. Got it? Okay, now multiply that number by 5. Take a second and really do the math. How do you feel right now? That initial massive number popping into your head, that was a pure expansive thought. But the immediate anxiety, the "oh, there's no way I can do that," the self-doubt about how to actually get there, that right there is the destructive act of thinking.
When you really compare the two, the contrast is stark. Thoughts create through infinite possibilities. They have expansive energy. They make you feel alive. Thinking, however, destroys by casting all these limiting, ego-driven judgments. Thinking restricts you, and it feels inherently stressful.
Think back to a time you felt just absolute peak joy or deep unconditional love. If you look closely at that memory, you'll probably realize you actually had 0 thoughts running through your head. None. You were just completely present. And that proves you don't need to manually think positive to feel joy. Joy is kind of just your natural factory setting once all the mental noise stops.
Section 3, the art of non-thinking. How to stop the noise. Because the real question is, how on earth do we actually stop doing it?
Well, here's the secret. You literally cannot forcefully stop your mind. Instead, you've got to treat it like a bowl of cloudy, dirty water, or like quicksand. If you panic and fight in quicksand, what happens? You sink way faster. If you actively try to filter dirty water by stirring it up, it just stays murky. But if you stop fighting and just let the water sit there, the dirt naturally settles to the bottom and clarity returns entirely on its own. Sometimes doing absolutely nothing is actually the most productive thing you can do.
There's actually a term for this in Japanese culture. It's called mushin.
It's a mental state where the mind is completely free of random thoughts, anger, fear, and ego. It is pure flow. Think about peak performance in athletes or artists. That happens precisely because there is zero manual overanalyzing getting in the way.
James Clear summed this up perfectly. He said, "Anxiety is thought without control. Flow is control without thought." That really is our goal here. It shows that our best work, our true flow state, comes directly from releasing that tight, desperate grip of active thinking. Drop the manual analysis, and you enter a space of pure instinctive genius.
Which brings us to section 4, inspiration over desperation. Now your ego's probably freaking out right now, screaming, wait, if I don't think, how do I achieve my goals? How do I actually survive? It all comes down to what's driving you. Goals born from overthinking are what we call desperation goals. They're driven by scarcity, and honestly, they feel like a heavy burden, like you're dragging a boulder uphill just to escape your current reality. But goals born from pure thought, those are inspiration goals. They are driven by abundance. They're expansive callings that we pursue just out of joy and wholeness, not because we desperately need them to fix us.
Stepping out of that desperation allows us to engage in unconditional creation. This means you're creating something without it just being a stepping stone for another purpose. You aren't doing it for external validation or just for the money or to escape your 9 to 5. You do it out of an overflowing sense of love and pure inspiration. You're creating just to create. And let me tell you, the energy behind that is magnetic.
And remember, nothing in life is inherently good or bad. It's like a piano. There are no wrong keys on a piano, right? There are just different sounds. In the same way, there are no wrong decisions in life. Only our active thinking makes them seem that way. When you drop the judgment, you completely drop the fear of making the wrong choice.
All right, our final stretch. Section 5, making space for miracles. Let's build this into an actionable framework. There's this great old story about a Zen master who is pouring tea for a scholar who thinks he already knows everything. The master just keeps pouring and pouring until the tea literally spills over the edges and onto the table. The scholar is shocked, but the master says, "You are like this cup, so full of ideas that nothing more will fit in. Come back to me with an empty cup." To receive those divine downloads and intuitive answers, we first have to completely empty our minds of old thinking to make space for the unknown. So practically speaking, when you hit a wall, try this 3-step framework to stop forcing solutions. First, just become aware that your thinking is the actual root cause of your stress. Second, create space by surrendering the how. Stop aggressively trying to figure out the exact steps. And third, feel whatever emotions come up and feel them with love. If you do this, you allow your inner wisdom to naturally reveal the right path, exactly when you need it. Ultimately, the absolute biggest takeaway boils down to just one number. The number 1. Actually, scratch that. It's more like one moment. You are always only one thought or one moment of letting go away from returning to your natural state of peace. It doesn't take years of unlearning. It really just takes a moment of awareness.
I'm going to leave you with this one question to chew on as you go about your day. Who would you be without your most stressful thought? Just imagine how light and capable you would feel. Keep that question in your back pocket as you step back out into the world and start practicing this incredible art of non-thinking.